Do I even look cute? I don't even know what's happening. That seems fine. I just really want my like nice bookcase in there because it's color coded, like, and we're talking about books, so it makes sense. I've just finished. I said I've been listening to audiobooks a lot, and I just finished the 14th book that I've read/listened to this year. We're only 4 months into the year, so I'm pretty proud of that. Compared to the whole like 10 books that I read last year or something. So I'm doing really good. I'm completely upping 2022 Allison, and that's the goal, right? To defeat our past selves. Okay, let me start drawing while I talk, so there's a reason for you to, or something for you to look at, I don't know, a reason for you to be here. So the book that I just finished, this was an audiobook, and it's Intamacies by, holy shit. Every time I'm about to say the author's name, I'm like, who? Okay. It's Intamacies. My boobs look amazing. But they look like they're not covered. Okay, if I sit back, you can tell I'm wearing a shirt. Intamacies by Kitamura. Note how I'm looking down at it. So, I found this book when I was looking at a list of best books of 2021. I've just been like Googling best books of and putting random years, like in the past few years. And a lot of them, well, I pretty much figured all of them would be fine since people were like, this is the best book of the whole entire year. But some of them didn't catch my eye, or like some of them weren't available, or some of them were only available in print. And I really needed a book that I could listen to while... Sorry, my brain is malfunctioning because I was like, when did I start screen recording? I wanted to get a book that I could listen to while drawing or while on long car rides. Like, I just wanted something specifically to listen to while drawing, basically. So I was just filtering out anything that wasn't an audiobook and wasn't available right then because it was like a day off, and it was in one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I have all day to relax, and I can't do it because not everything is perfect. I've been called a perfectionist recently. I'm starting to wonder if that is true. Anyway, so after like hours of obsessively searching for books, I found this one, and I'm gonna read the like book summary because that was what grabbed me. There was a point where I was reading all the summaries and then I gave up and just started adding whatever was available to my like wish list. But what got me was, it's in caps on the book description. It says, one of Barack Obama's favorite 2021 reads. I was like, enough said. But I kept reading anyway because I was like, well, what if it's just boring? But then it described it as a haunting, precise, and morally astute. And that's when I stopped reading, because when I heard haunting, I was like, that's what I want. I want to be haunted by the book. I want to feel feelings. So I borrowed it, started listening, got all cozy with it, and I don't remember the first sentence. I don't think it like super grabbed me. Yep, that's correct. I wasn't immediately sucked in like I am with some books, but I was like, well, I borrowed it, I'm gonna listen to it. I was tempted to just return it because oh my god, this is a whole thing. I had another book that I was listening to and I was bored of it, but then I was like, well, I need to just finish it. It was like a nonfiction, like art history book, but I finished it anyway. Oh my god, I'm getting distracted because of all the coffee I've had. So I came back to it after I finished that other book. So I'm saying that to say that it didn't like wow me right away. It didn't take long to wow me. I literally just had to keep listening for another like 3 minutes before I was really grabbed. And I'll give you like a little summary. It's about an interpreter who lives in The Hague? Yeah, The Hague. And she works at the international court. And immediately I was like, whoa, that's not a job I've ever even thought about. That's not a career that I've ever considered, like, not for myself, but just in general, the fact that that exists. I love when books make me think about things that I didn't even know existed. I just love when that happens in general. Like, who is the person who takes care of the whatever random thing? Like, just something you never even think about. Like, that's someone's whole life. So that was neat. And then, in a way, I started kind of thinking about White Lotus in the way that it follows like different relationships and the evolution of how those relationships are the more you learn about them, but not in a way where one is more important than the other. It's just a bunch of things. I don't know. I don't want to just say like, oh, it's just like White Lotus, because I think that's like not even true, but also I don't want to say like, oh, you should like this book because this other popular show is sort of similar. Like, the book is a standalone, but I did have like a little moment of comparing the two when I got towards the end. But I don't really want to say why, because I feel like that might just spoil it. But it was really interesting learning about the ins and outs and internal conflicts that go with that job. And like I said, because I'd never thought about it before. And then, so I felt like I was like learning. And then there was a quote that's like really long. When I typed it out, it was such a long quote. I was like, is this too long to put in a video? But I'm going to do it anyway because it made me think about my art specifically, which is another thing that is a goal of mine when looking for books to read and when choosing media to consume. I want it to make me think about what I'm creating. And so I wrote the quote down, and it's an audiobook, so I had to like screenshot that and then go back to the timestamp later and then type it. And I realized I'm not as fast at transcribing as I thought. But the quote, so she's at it'll be obvious from the quote, but she's looking at a painting, and she says, there was something that was both guarded and vulnerable in the subject's gaze. It was not the contradiction of a single instant, but rather it was as if the painter had caught her in two separate states of emotion, two separate moods, and managed to contain them within the single image. And then there's a little lapse there because I didn't feel like, and then she goes on to say, there would have been a multitude of such instants captured on the canvas between the time she first sat down before the painter and the time she rose, neck and upper body stiff from the final sitting. And it made me think about, I got like chills a little bit because it made me think about the difference between working from photographs, which I normally do, and working from a live subject, and how their expression would be like shifting and changing, even if unnoticeable. Like, those small shifts would be there and then would be captured, and you like, what would it look like if I started working that way instead of just using photos as references? And it made me wonder if that would change my work, like if it would even be perceptible. It made me think about what it would be like to work off of like a video instead of a photo, and then I also thought about what would it be like if I had someone sit there while I drew them. And then I realized that'd probably be horrible for everyone because my drawings take so long. Even these digital ones take a really long time. But it's still such a cool thought. Like, it's never ever occurred to me to have someone sit in front of me and draw them, but that might actually be kind of fun if it was someone I like knew and liked. Or maybe even if it was a stranger, like what would that be like, having a stranger come in and just sit in front of me and I do a portrait of them? Like, would the lack of familiarity juxtaposed with the intimacy, ooh, that's the name of the book, of being together for so long and like capturing their image, like how would that look on the page, on the paper, on the thing? That's another thing I never would have thought of, and I thought it was such an interesting reflection. In all my time looking at art, I've considered how uncomfortable it would be to be a model, and I've considered how annoying it would be to have a model who's like moving a lot while you're trying to draw them, but I never thought about the difference and how the time lapse would look and be apparent in a painting versus the work I'm making today. So I really liked that. It made me think about that. I really grew to like the narrator. It's first person, and I liked the way the whole story wrapped up. And I can't say that because I don't want to ruin it for anyone who decides to read it, but I would definitely recommend it. I thought it was really good. Totally see why it was on the list of best books of 2021. I totally see why Obama liked it. President Obama, I should say. And I've been interested in looking at books that have been considered best post-pandemic and pre-pandemic. I feel like the books that I've read, the tone of the books that are considered the best after 2020, maybe it's just the books I'm reading, but it seems like they're a little more reflective and a little more quiet. I don't know how to say it. It just, or maybe that's just me. I don't know how other people notice that. This is about a 13-minute video, which means I've been screen recording this drawing for 13 minutes, and I can't say that 13 minutes worth of work has been done, but it was fun. I enjoyed talking about these books. They're really good. I guess I could go back and talk about the other like 12 or so, but I don't think I need to talk about all of them, just the ones that really have stuck out to me. So that is where I'm at. This is where the drawing is at, and that's it.